Hello, Eric Sfiligoj, CropLife magazine editor, here again at 2025 Tech Hub Live event for another Fireside chat. I'm joined now by Harley Janssen from the National Corn Growers Association. Harley, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so glad to have you. So, hey, I wanted to talk about this topic with you, hopefully. So I think you picked out how markets and mandates are shaping the future of farming. So that's kind of a wide open topic.
Yeah.
So if you could enlighten us, what are we talking about here, and how is it going to be shaping the future?
Yeah, so National Corn Growers Association is a trade association that advocates on behalf of 36,000 dues-paying members and 300,000 corn growers. And really, there's two sides of the coin that we're working on. One is we've got to generate market demand, open access to markets, as well as increase farmer profitability. And on the other side of the coin, we're working through all the challenges that we're seeing right now in the marketplace relative to regulation and freedom to operate. We know that growers need tools in the toolbox to be efficient and profitable, and we've got to work kind of in between those two things on both sides. We certainly see the opportunity for sustainable marketplaces, for the good work that many, and if not most, corn growers do every single day in their operations. It fits into the desire that we're seeing from the marketplace from a sustainability perspective. And so a good chunk of what we do is work on telling that story and connecting, the math of how we're represented as corn growers into the math of downstream marketplaces and open access to those markets.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I know when we were talking a little bit, you were talking about the tools in the toolbox. Yeah. And I know on a lot of instances, at least in the last, it seems like maybe 5-6 years, the ability to get tools in the toolbox or even to keep tools in the toolbox have been really challenging, particularly on the crop protection side of the equation. So how are the National Corn Growers, how are you stepping in trying to help get the message across to the legislature and to the legal community that, hey, our members need this, otherwise you're not going to be able to eat?
Yeah, one of the things that we continue to work on is funding research that gets peer-reviewed, independent white papers, other research in public domain. So that's readily available for legislators to point at and to work through. And a lot of that really centers around the reality that I believe in 1983 is the first time the USDA started working on conservation tillage and conservation practices and recognizing those. The quiet part we don't say out loud enough is that we don't execute all that we've done in the growth of conservation movement without access to key technologies, including glyphosate and atrazine, too, that are under a lot of fire as of late politically. And so we spend a fair bit of time walking people through the 30, 40, 50-year history of safety of these chemistries and how important it is for us to execute the sustainability goals that people want and want to drive while still needing access to common sense science and chemistry that helps us reduce some of the impact that people are asking us to reduce as farmers.
Okay. I know that's important, obviously, but I know from my perspective in journalism, again, sometimes, when you're talking about something going on in the marketplace, and, my old editor used to say, when you're talking about an accident that kills 100 people, that's tragedy. But if you talk about one person killed in an accident, you make it more human interest.
Sure.
So National Corn Growers, you were talking a little bit about some of the good news that can be shared. How are you kind of trying to make that personal with some of your individual members? Has that campaign happened? Is it happening?
Yeah, very much so. Trying to highlight the reality that, on the ground, these are 300,000 family farms in general, right? That are doing the work every day that's filling the demand that people are looking for. And the story of corn production, of corn and soybeans production, is a fantastic sustainability story that we don't often tell. The reality that, we're farming less acres in general in the United States than we did in 1925 with almost a 900% to 1,000% increase in production. That's an amazing land use change story that often doesn't get told. And it sets U.S. production apart from some of our global competitors, and most notably from South America. And it really stands up the work that U.S. farm production has done in that period of time.
Okay, so not to go back to the bag news side, but
Yeah.
again, you and I were talking a little bit before we came on live here. The Make America Healthy Again report, which I know is not the formal name, but that's what everybody's referring to it as. Your views on that, and how is the National Corn Growers reacting with its membership and trying to get messages across to the folks in D.C. that, hey, maybe you ought to rethink this?
Yeah, one of the things that we're trying to highlight is the reality of the facts, and that U.S. Corn, soy production, U.S. grain production is one of the safest, most reliable, consistent, sustainable places to access for higher quality protein. A majority of corn still goes into animal feed, as well as for energy dominance, something that the administration is very interested in as we think about the opportunity to increase and grow biofuels demand. But in that, I think there's been some misunderstandings of how we farm and what we do as farmers. The practices, the technology that's deployed, as the speaker just spoke to previously, as well as the safety of the chemistry that we use and that we need, all of which has been through so much review in both a process that includes both the USDA and EPA. We would ask that they would kindly look at that work that's been done for years and recognize that farmers are part of the solution to make America healthy again, not part of the problem.
Okay. And I know, and so let's flip that on its head then, some good news, if you will. I know I've been covering this marketplace for about 25 years, and I know for almost the entirety of that time, I've heard a lot of negativity, a lot of negative campaigns against the biotech crops, in particular corn, just because it's most popular, obviously. But I know that recently, not too long ago, there was actually some very good news regarding biotech corn in Mexico. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, so the National Corn Growers Association participated in work to combat a false narrative that was around the U.S. Mexico-Canada trade agreement, and we were able to win a legal battle and open that market back up, which is extremely important for us. Obviously, Mexico is a major trade partner, and in the grain space, we are dependent on trade partners, and we need folks to purchase our high-quality grain, and that was one where, again, sometimes it takes a little while, but at the end of the day, oftentimes facts prevail. And so that was a good news for us and good news for farmers.
I was saying, I think I remember reading just very, very recently, maybe within the last week or so, I know one of the biggest opponents of biotech crops were the Europeans.
Correct.
And I think I remember reading recently that now they've decided to accept for feed use biotech crops.
Yep.
So is this maybe finally, because again, I know, like I said, covered for 25 years, I've been waiting for Europe to sort of kind of get with the program of the rest of the world. Is this the first baby step, or is this a big step?
Maybe it's a baby step that can be a big step, right? So as I mentioned, animal feed is the largest consumer of corn in the world. And so for us, that's a big deal to have that first step take place. And we think that, again, science and facts will prevail in that, and we'll continue to open up markets.
Very good. Well, Harley Janssen, thank you so much for joining us for this fireside chat. Harley will be around, so if you have any questions for him individually, please pull him aside. I'm sure he'll be happy to chat with you. And on behalf of myself and of the CropLife Media Group, we'll come back to you again with another one. Thank you.